Hello, everyone. My name is Lucian. Most of you know me from Twitter as Triangle Investor. In today's edition of CEO and Market Expert interviews, we will cover Silver Elephant Mining Company, a development company with assets in Bolivia. I'm joined by Silver Elephant CEO and Executive Chairman, Mr. Jonh Lee. Jonh, welcome to my show. It is great to have you.
Great to be on your show, Lucian, for the first time.
Yeah. Jonh, let's discuss silver market and your company. But before we do that, I would like to hear more about you and your background. How did you end up in silver exploration and development? And how did you become a Silver Elephant CEO?
Yeah, Lucian, I have over 20 years of experience in the mining industry. I started my career in the mid-90s in the Silicon Valley in the software industry. And I was very lucky to have semi-retired in 2000 at the dot-com boom. And I started invested in mining because my girlfriend at the time was from Vancouver. So we moved up to Vancouver and saw the beautiful scenery. The first 10 years as a retail investor, I was doing very well. I caught the silver at $4 in 2003, wow. 2004. And then from the latter part of 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, was founded Silver Elephant as the chairman and CEO. Started as a part-time job, just as a curiosity, see what the other side of the business looks like. And then 13 years later, that turned into a double full-time job. Through the process, Silver Elephant and its spin-outs, associated companies raised over $150 million through the Toronto Stock Exchange. And my specialization, I've traveled over 45 countries, and my specialization is exploration and silver and battery metals like nickel.
Yeah, great background, Jonh. Okay, I want to hear your view on the silver market. We are actually seeing the increasing demand across a range of industrial applications. And we know that silver is also attractive as a monetary metal, right. not as gold, but definitely people love to buy silver as a form of safe haven too. Jonh, where are we at the moment on the silver market, and what can we expect in the future, both short term and long term?
Silver is money, and it's always been money for thousands of years alongside gold. And unfortunately, nowadays, the media has all been, is following a script fed by the power that be. And the power that be don't want gold and silver prices to go up. The metal prices are very heavily managed because in order to continue to fulfill their agenda, the 2030 agenda of own nothing and be happy, and I've traveled the world 3 times this year already, I've seen a lot of consolidation of power and a consolidation of the messaging amongst mainstream media. Is they want to manage the metal prices and distract the bull market that's in process right now. I want to talk a bit more about the macro, the big picture. Yeah. Even though many silver investors are discouraged, as some of your audience maybe, and the silver mining company prices are near 10-year low. And this is not just for junior sector. You're looking at Coeur d'Alene, Hecla, First Majestic, and Pan American Silver. They're all near that decade low. As I said, I got into silver when it's $4. So silver has gone up 5 times. It should have been, in my view, closer to $50 than it's closer to 20. And the way that the cartel manage the silver and gold prices are through very heavy management of the futures market in the paper market. So it's the tail that wags the dog that controls the physical market. And then through the advent of ETF and the cryptocurrency to siphon off the demand for the physical metals and further discourage the purchase of physical metals through penalty and rules regulation from for the pension funds to not being able to own these metals. So these are the different vehicles to both sort of penalize, discourage, and distract investors from owning the metals. I personally think that silver, as I mentioned a year ago, September is typically the fall. It's typically a very strong metal season. And just fast forward to where we are.
Yeah.
We had a long weekend, a long golden week in China, which is a week, almost a week-long holiday from October 1st for that week. And the opportunity, and then so the big traders, the shorts see that the opportunity and were able to smack the gold and silver prices below 200 moving average. But in my previous interview, I also said that if they were to go below 200, the moving average, it would be a very short spike. So we've seen the gold dip below 1820, which is incredible buying opportunity, and silver below 22. Have since then both have rebounded quite well. That creates a real, that, I mean, technically speaking, usually when you have a breakdown, that sets the stage for a breakout. So I'm cautiously optimistic that even though we didn't get a banner start for September for the start of the fall season, but that breakdown created that last batch of people throwing the towel, and you're a technical trader, so that it could potentially set the stage for a breakout. And I do anticipate silver to take out $28 and gold to break out $2,000, which are the two major critical all-time resistance level.
Wow.
And if they were to be broken out, silver could easily top up to $50, as it had done in the previous occasions, two occasions when they broke out at $28 in 2011 and 1980. And for gold, it has tried for $2,000 level, I think three times since 2000. And I think this the fourth or the third time is going to be the charm, Lucian.
Yeah.
I'm talking within the next 6 to 8 months.
So you believe that silver will outperform gold?
Yes, for 3 or 4 different reasons. I think, first of all, if you look at the historical gold to silver ratio, it's always been around 70. And right now, as of today, I think it trades close to about 85 to 90. So historically, it's below historical average ratio. And secondly, the pendulum always swings between, say, 30 to 100. And we experienced 30 only, I think, for the second time in history. And that was when the pandemic hits, when gold was close to 2,000 and silver was less than 20. I think gold was about 1,600 and silver was about 18. So the ratio was about 100. Yeah. And now if the ratio were to go back down to 20, for example, at $2,000 gold, you could be looking at $100 silver. I'm not forecasting that. Okay. But I'm just saying the pendulum, once it reaches the extreme on the one end, is typically will revert back to the extreme of the other. Yeah. There's a couple of other things that are supportive of silver. Silver, it is an industrial metal. It is a speculative metal. So after usually what I call gold is the greed metal, and silver. So gold is the fear metal and silver is the greed metal. So we've seen the worst of pandemic over. You've seen, if you follow the technicals, NASDAQ is closing to breaking out to all-time high. Despite the rising interest rate, S&P 500 is trading very healthy, and oil is almost $90. So these are very positive correlation to historical positive correlation to silver. And if the market were to hold up, then I'm not a doom and gloomer. I can share with you my reasons. Then silver will tend to outperform gold. And then just one extra point is there has been quite a bit of lack of industrial demand, and that's really what's putting the lid on silver. But as I said, once the economy normalize and stabilize, you're going to see silver start to outperform gold going forward.
Okay. Jonh, let's discuss company projects. The first project you have is Pulacayo Silver Project. Please give us an overview of the project and the current stage.
Going sort of where we are, then we can relate backward. The company actually just shipped the first truck as of today. And so it's very, very exciting. I just got the news clip for about 2-minute clip. Hopefully we'll be able to upload it. And
definitely, congrats.
The truck left Paca yesterday, and it is part of the agreement that Silver Elephant struck with Andean Precious Metals, which is a company with a processing facility nearby that processes oxide material. Is one of the larger silver producers in Bolivia and also in the world. They're doing about 4 or 5 million ounces a year, which is not small for a primary silver producer. And Elephant were to receive $3 million by January, which is about 3 months from now, and another $2 million over the next 18 months. What we're doing, Lucien, is shoving off the top oxide layer of one of our satellite deposits called Paca, which is part of the Pulacayo project. And then we were transporting that to Andean for processing. Andean will in turn reimburse the expenses plus paying that upfront payment of $5 million as I mentioned to you.
Yeah.
And that resource only constitutes about 6% of the Pulacayo resource. So you can see it's over 100 million ounces. And the crown jewel is really in the sulfide resource. So we see this it's a win-win situation where Andean get the top layer of the oxide materials. It's specific to very few processing facilities that can handle that. And then from there, the company, Silver Elephant, is looking to build a sulfide processing facility at Pulacayo, and which then you can start processing the sulfide material after the oxide material is removed. I think it's probably going to take about 18 months to 2 years. The project, Pulacayo, is actually quite famous. It's second largest silver mine based on historical production, over 600 million ounces. So it's a brownfield exploration project. And the project, it was a Pulacayo silver from Bolivia that helped Spaniard conquered the civilization back in 1800. It was the Pulacayo silver that helped Bolivia build the first railway to sea. And to Antofagasta, which used to belong to Bolivia, now is belong to Chile because of the war between Bolivia and Chile about 100 years ago. Through modern exploration, the over 100 million ounces were further 100 million ounces were discovered in the measured indicated category. And then another 20 million ounces inferred, over 100,000 meters drilled, cost $40 million. And we have an excellent relationship with the local community. It's called the Pulacayo community because they are a indigenous group that has a very rich tradition in mining. They're miners, and their parents are miners, their grandparents are miners, and some of their great-grandparents are miners. The sort of the speed and the level of support, the speed at which we're able to commission this mine into production, getting the first truck and shovel and truck leaving the ground in within a month, just 1 month from making the announcement, speaks to the testament and the strong level of support from the local and the federal government for this project.
So you have more than 100 ounces in the ground. That is excellent.
100 million.
Yeah, 100 million. Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit more? What are the next steps for the projects? Which milestones are planned to be achieved on the project in the short term and in the midterm or in the long term?
Right. Lucian, I want to provide a big backdrop first. The company right now is $10 million market cap Canadian, and has went down 90% from just 2 years ago when the silver run started in, I think it was July 2020, when silver went from 14 to 30.
Yeah.
In answering to your question, it's not so much what investor can look forward to, but what the investor will be assured not to see, which is another shoe to drop. People think we're disappearing from the face of the earth, or we are going out of business, or our assets are going to be confiscated, or going to go to the bank, or eaten over by the hyenas. Or none of this is going to happen. Lucien, let me just assure you. And the company has gone up, stock price has gone up about 50% since we have made the news just in the last week alone. And so I think, first of all, I want to assure investors and your audience and shareholders that the company is everything is fine. There's nothing in the hidden closet, and that we are in production. Yes, we really are, and we don't have any bank debt. We don't have. It's just unfortunate we have some shareholders that are angry, and they bought at the top, and they lost 90% if they had sold. And now, having said that, in terms of what we're looking forward to, is continue to execute our program. And the first truck left Pulacayo yesterday, and we want to make NDM precious metals successful. And they have been operating in Bolivia for the last 10 years, 15 years. And then so have we. And I think together with our experience in technical and legal and commercial and community relations, we're really forming a formidable team that we're going to have this operation continue throughout, even after the oxide finish. Lucien, that's 5 million ounces. It's possible we might partner together. They have over $70 million in the bank to build a plant on site, or maybe somebody else, or maybe ourselves, so we can retain a bit more of that upside on the silver prices. So we're not going to have hopefully negative news coming on, and we're going to continue to manage our relationship and operation. We're not looking to undertake any diluted financings. So maybe a little bit boring, Lucien. We're not going to be drilling likely right now because investors and companies are not being rewarded for any drill results. So we're going to be a little bit boring, but we're going to continue to reach out to investors through channels such as yours. And we're going to watch our expenses closely. Directors and insiders receive their salaries in shares. So we're really going to be looking to just be the, like of a better description, the Elon Musk's boring company, and just continue to execute, continue to de-risk the project, to showcase that the ounces are real, the ounces can be extracted for profit, and the partners that we have are a good relationship, and we have strong local community support, so that if the silver price does break out to $28, we can scale up our project. We can really put a mark, a stamp on the market to make strides in the market. And I think we're going to be very, very few companies actually can claim that we're making money, that we're not in debt, and we are really making the right decisions and not producing for the sake of production, because the analysts looking to benchmarking your production numbers and at a loss, or commitment to the communities. You should be producing more than you should, and all those different things are not really profit driven, right? So we're not being tied to historical legacy commitments, and that's really the beauty of our project. We're doing step by step. We don't need to scale up production if you don't want to. We're taking step by step, Lucien, which is very refreshing, because we're at the bottom. We don't have to manage. We don't have to manage expectations, because we don't have any expectation right now in the market.
Got it. But you are not a single asset company. You have another project, El Triunfo Silver Project. It is a gold, silver, zinc project, I think, right? Can you give us an overview of this project and what is the current stage of this one?
That's a very, very exciting project, Lucien. We did the drilling in 2021 when we acquired the project, and also in 2022. We did step out drilling, so we're looking for, as the name suggests, we're out there to hunt for elephant, even though there's no elephant in Bolivia. We did several wide step out drilling, very wide spacing, 500 meter, a kilometer wide space drilling, and we hit all of those drill holes. Some grades are better than the others. Some are close to 1 gram gold equivalent near surface. But then we're able to extend and prove the strike beyond, from the original sort of 300 meters where you had the artisanal miners that gripping on the surface and all the historical drilling in the area. We expand that from 500 meter to over 2 kilometers. And
sorry, when was that?
That was 2022.
2022, okay.
And after we did a round of geophysical surveys, IP survey, so we saw all the big targets were the eastern side of the deposit. And what happened, Lucien, is there is a fault, not geographically too, but practically it was a 500 meter cliff dive, so nobody bothered to look at the other side of the of the project. And we found, so we're very excited. if we can prove up, this could be a world-class project if we're able to prove the tonnage. So it is a bulk tonnage project. I mean, the grades at 1 gram gold equivalent. It's not to be it's not to be sneezed at. A lot of the gold project like Osisco or Detour Gold, as you know, 1 gram at $2,000 gold is $50-$60 a ton of rock on surface. So we believe the grades are, I mean, this is not a epithermal, super high grade, structurally controlled vein system, but if we can put together decent tonnages over not even just 1 kilometer strike, not to mention 2 kilometer or 2.5 kilometers, this could be a
solid project.
It would be a very, very exciting exploration project, but we're not spending money on that right now. And also has a good, excellent infrastructure, have access to water and road and power. And also we have a very peaceful community. We're very, very fortunate in that regard.
Excellent. And how would you describe Bolivia as jurisdiction where you operate? What are the most important benefits from doing business there? And is there any obstacles you have encountered developing your projects?
Yeah, the most beneficial point of doing business, let me start with that, is it is actually a country that we can get money in and out quite easily. Despite sort of the rhetorics, as I talk about mainstream media. There is actually, Bolivia is one of the most stable countries. It has GDP has consistently grown at 5% in the last 15 years. And I was there for 15 years. I lived there for 3 years. The infrastructure is actually in many ways better than Peru and Chile and Argentina. It is well endowed despite lack of foreign investment until recently. It is the 6th largest silver producer in the world. It has massive resources in tin, in iron ore, in gas. And in the last few years, and the pendulum has swung from very left-wing rhetorics to opening for foreign investment. In the last 5 years alone, I think probably $500 million has raised through the North American stock exchanges for mining. And now you have several mining companies collectively well over $1 billion market capitalization operating in Bolivia. And depending on the jurisdictions, it's not always a country. People say, oh, Mexico is great doing business or Canada is doing great business. I would say you got to focus on studying on the local community level. And if you are a farming community and if you drill a hole and found gold deposit in the middle of a farm, you're going to have problems. Or a fishing community, right? So in the case of Pulacayo, they're a mining community. So we have a good community relationship. We have a vast geological potential. We have excellent infrastructure. We have neighboring projects and mines that can actually toll mill both our oxide and sulfide materials. And we have all the major traders are there, 40 million ounces of production in silver last year. And I would say it's hidden treasure, even though it's recently getting discovered and a lot of people made very good money. Relatively speaking, we feel very, very comfortable of operating in Bolivia. We see Bolivia no worse than, or no better, no worse than Mexico, Peru, and some of the other common destinations that are they're sort of being more favored.
Jonh, your company has Mega Thermal Coal Corp. That is a wholly owned subsidiary of the company, which owns and operates the Ulan Ovo mine. Ulan Ovo produced approximately 1 million tons of coal, sold to over 30 international and Mongolian customers since 2007. Mega Thermal also owns and operates coal mines in Mongolia, right?
Yes.
Yes. Can you please expand a little bit on those operations?
I'll spend 2 minutes on that, and I thank you for having done your homework and your research. It is a legacy project that Silver Elephant had owned for more than 14 years, and it was actually the flagship project that Elephant had owned before its name change from Prophecy. And the project has over close to $100 million spent on it, fully permitted, 200 million tons of thermal coal. And 2022 was thermal coal was the best performing commodity and actually trends very closely to oil price. So oil prices is went from 130 and back down to 70, and now it's at around 90. So thermal coal price is kind of doing something similar. We did just very modest mining 20,000 tons over 3 months out of a 200 million ton massive single seam open pit no strip ratio, and logistics is always the challenge, but we're able to overcome that. 20,000 tons we made about almost $500,000, and the 20,000 ton went to China, which is another first for the company. We're not looking to right now. The mine's on standby because we want to wait for the thermal coal prices to stabilize, and then we can make a production decision. It's not going to be a big large scale production because we're focusing on the silver first. It is our DNA, and if we're able to get a good partner in Mongolia, have a stabilized coal prices, then that could bring an additional cash flow stream. The last thing I want is to have a distraction from thermal coal and have it become a losing proposition, because the last thing you want in a mining industry is to be extracting and depleting your reserve and resources at a loss. It's a double whammy, right?
Yeah,
and unfortunately, Lucian, that's probably 80% of the silver companies are doing right now, or commodity company are doing right now. Copper company making a loss, gold company are mining at a loss, everybody's mining at a loss. And we don't want to do that. And we don't want to commit to the communities and depleting our reserves and short spending our equipment and to lose the money. Doesn't make any sense. So I would just say it is a terrific asset, nothing wrong with it. And we're not promoting it. And we're gonna plan very, very carefully. And when we make a promise in the news to make it production, we will make it a production and generate cash flow. But right now it's on standby.
Okay, fair enough. Jonh, I want to pick up your brain about the focus of the company in the future. Is the plan to stick with, let's say, both of your projects in Bolivia, or do you maybe plan to find a joint venture partner, let's say, for El Triunfo and develop Pulacayo? What's the plan here?
Lucian, we're keeping all the options open. I am a chartered financial analyst. My forte is M&A, so I am not fixated on geology or, thinking this is my dearest pet project. I'm hugging it like it's my baby. It's so demonstrated with Elephant and this prior company has acquired nickel, vanadium, coal, gold, and silver projects. So we're keeping all of our options open. And when we talk about de-risking the project, which is a cliche, but we are really one of the very few companies are doing that. We're permitting the project. We are putting the project in pilot production. We're getting the green light from the community. So I think at this point, silver price is 20% on the bottom, then 20% on the top. When the silver price is 20% on the top, we'll make sure our data room is ready. We'll make sure our projection, the continued scaling of our project, and then if the capital market is open to self-financing for Elephant at a minimal dilution, and we are confident about generating cash flow, we'll do that. And then if the financing is prohibitive and too dilutive, and if we have a good partner that can come in to acquire the project, we'll open our data room to the highest bidder. And then, or if a good partner like Indian or somebody else, by the way, I just want to mention Indian has been a world-class to deal with, to work with, that will offer reasonable terms to finance the project and provide continued good, reasonable upside for Silver Elephant. We'll jump on that as well. So I'm really truly believe that we're one of the very, very few companies that put action where our words are in keeping all of our options to maximize the upside for our investor. Oh, just one more point about our management. Collectively, over 150 years of experience operating in permitting, in operation, in community relations, in financing. It took me, Lucien, I'm an outsider looking in. So it really took me about 10 years to sort of get an understanding of who is who in the industry. And to get the right people, finally, that we are operating seamlessly as a team moving forward. Everybody knows what needs to be done. And kind of like Steve Jobs says, for the good people, you tell them what needs to be done and they go and, fix things well. And like I said, again, I think that the operation for Andean Precious Metals is a great example, a testament of how teamwork has excelled in such a short time frame.
Yeah, definitely continue on this subject. Who is in your team? Who is on your board? Who are the people behind the
Right.
company?
Myself, as I mentioned, over 20 years experience in the mining industry. I financed the company through the thick and thin. We have Rob Van Drunen. I recruited 2 years ago. He's over 35 years experience with Vale, which is Inco. And he's a chief operating officer. He started out as a foreman, underground miner, open pit miner, running processing plant. He's extremely hands-on. And he's toured all of our projects and spent considerable time at Pulacayo. And we have Andrew Yao, who joined us a year ago. He's a seasoned veteran, a CFO who's familiar with IFRS, all the regulatory compliance on both US and in Canada. And then we have these are the core group. And then in Bolivia, in Mongolia, we have our ground staff that has been in working on the project. When we acquire the project from other companies, so they have experience of over close to 20 years working in Bolivia and in Mongolia. We have also Ron Espel, and Ron is the permitting guru with Barrick and also with the U.S. Permitting agency for more than 40 years. So he is excellent in managing regulatory compliance, environmental protections, and government permitting and community relations. So we have the really rounded team in environmental, in permitting, in operation, and in finance.
Yeah, it sounds like a very good and experienced team, definitely. Jonh, what about share structure? Can you expand a little bit on that? How many shares do you have outstanding, warrants, options, skin in the game? Please give us some data.
Right. The company trades right now at about 35 cents, 30 million shares outstanding, 33 million shares outstanding. Approximately 7% is owned by insiders and close associates. Everybody financed, majority of the financing were done actually at over $2, $100 over, well over $1.60, averaging I would say about $3, $2 to $3. We had a 10-for-1 rollback, and that just happened when the market started heading south. So that was sort of, a company driven and then also the market driven of our correction. And the company issued some shares diluted, but not to the extent of our miners. We did around a 30-cent financing. That's as low as we did. That's only about $300,000. And the other finances were done well between 45 cents and $3. 45 cents is another small round of financing. So I would say we'll have actually a very, very tight structure. There's not a lot of overhang between where we are at 35 cents to $1.60. If we were to put up the chart, we went from 160 to 50 cents, I think, in 2 months. Hopefully, it's the old etage, right? However it went down would be maybe the way it comes back up, hopefully.
Yeah. And what about your cash balance at this moment? How much cash do you have, and how do you think that will, for how long will this amount get you through?
Right. We have about just under $1 million Canadian dollars in the bank. We received $1.5 million Canadian on signing the toll milling joint venture with Indian Precious Metals about a month ago. And the company is due to receive another 2.3 million Canadian dollar, which is 1.8 million US dollars in January. We believe the working capital will be sufficient to operate the company for entire 2024 and maybe even beyond, because it's another $2 million payment from 2025.
Yeah.
And so we don't anticipate any financing. We'll try to really watch our budget closely, conservatively. And that's where we are.
Okay, good to know. Final question, Jonh. Possible news flow from the company in, let's say, remainder of the year or 6 months ahead. When and from which project can we expect some news flow?
We make that symbolic truck shipment yesterday with Indian Precious Metals. Granted, it's one truck, doesn't mean a lot, but we're hoping to start ramping up our production, and we're going to be the boring company. We're going to continue to scale up our production and make sure Indian precious metals successful, issue not necessarily monthly update, but quarterly update. And and then wait for the market to excel. I think the market needs to turn around for the silver market to warrant exploration and to expand our marketing or promotion budget. Or so I think we're gonna be step by step, and we have obviously clearly in the last couple of weeks gained additional new shareholders, and we're just gonna be continue to de-risk the project for Pulacayo. We're probably not going to do anything with Ultra Info until gold takes out $2,000, and then on the Mongolian thermal coal project, if oil continue to go up and breaks or take out $100 and thermal coal were to reapproach $200 a ton, we may be making news on restart of the coal production as well to generate additional revenue. In the end, it's what I call the Warren Buffett said, right? In the end, in the short term, the market is a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine. So we want to make sure the time, and also Warren Buffett said, you want to make sure time is your friend. So we want to align the company interests with time, and to manage our project, manage our expectation, deliver our commitment to our shareholders, keeping our promises one by one, and then let our strength speak for the company itself, which is 100 million ounces in the ground. And for a project that's in good jurisdiction, good infrastructure, surrounded by major mining companies like Eloro, Pan American Silver, Andean, San Cristobal, Glencore, all of these bona fide major mining companies, and then restore our name as a household as we once were only 2 years ago.
Okay, Jonh, I wish you luck with that. Of course, that was Silver Elephant CEO and Executive Chairman, Mr. Jonh Lee. Thank you very much for being my guest. And like I said, I wish you luck with all your projects, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you, Lucien. Appreciate it.